Kyle Rittenhouse was this young man, I believe 17 at the time, when he went to Kenosha. And he went there to try and protect people, to try and protect small business owners and so forth against Antifa and Black Lives Matter during the riots of 2 years ago, where people were getting harmed, people were getting shot, people were getting killed. So he goes there. The background of this kid is a wonderful background. He's very patriotic. He apparently is law-abiding. He never had any other kind of run-in with the police and so forth. And he comes under attack. And he's chased down. And he's hit with a skateboard. Other people have weapons. They're threatening to kill him. And he shoots, I recall, 3 people. 2 of them die, and one of them was on the stand the other day, who he shot in the arm. The prosecution in this case is way overcharged. In fact, this kid shouldn't have been charged at all, but they did. Why? Because of the mob. The mob. The mob intimidates these people. In this case, a Democrat prosecutor, Democrat mayor, and so forth, intimidating them. And so far, the trial has gone awful for the prosecution. Absolutely awful. Their key witness, you're about to hear from, their key witness was one of the people Kyle Rittenhouse shot, but obviously this witness survived. Let's take a listen. Go.
Mr. Grosskreutz, I'm going to show you what has been marked as Exhibit 67. That's a photo of you, yes?
Yes.
Okay. That's Mr. Rittenhouse?
Correct.
Okay. Now, you'd agree your firearm is pointed at Mr. Rittenhouse, correct?
Yes.
Okay. And once your firearm is pointed at Mr. Rittenhouse, that's when he fires his gun. Yes?
No.
Sir, look, I don't want to... Does this look like right now your arm is being shot?
That looks like my bicep being vaporized, yes.
Okay. And it's being vaporized as you're pointing your gun directly at him. Yes?
Yes.
Okay, so when you were standing 3 to 5 feet from him with your arms up in the air, he never fired, right?
Correct.
It wasn't until you pointed your gun at him, advanced on him, with your gun, now your hands down, pointed at him, that he fired, right?
Correct.
Now stop right there. That's their key witness. It wasn't until you chased after him and pointed your gun directly at him that he fired, right? Correct. That's self-defense. Kyle Rittenhouse is on the ground. He chases him down, points his gun at him, and Kyle Rittenhouse shoots him in the right bicep. That's what happened. How do we know it? Because he just said that that's correct. Go ahead.
You had...
Now this defense lawyer is good. He stopped so that would sink in. He didn't just jump to the next point, but he wanted it to sink in. Go.
Now you had mentioned that you believe that he was re-racking, I don't know much about guns, but you had mentioned that you believed he was re-racking his gun or something, right?
That is correct, yes.
Now you had said that you were looking for a non-lethal way to end this interaction.
That is correct, yes.
Yet you pulled your gun out and began, I'm going to use the word chase. You began chasing or running after a man who was running away from you, correct?
That is correct.
What he was doing was hunting him down. He wanted to kill him. We later learned that this guy has ties to a communist organization. He was asked about if he was a member. He said, "I'm not a member," but he spoke to them. And we've also since learned that he's brought 2 civil suits, one against Kenosha, the town, for $10 million. And in the pleadings, in his motion, his filing, he did not mention that he was armed. That came out in trial too, that you sued the city, but you didn't mention that you're the one that had the gun and that you were armed. Isn't that correct? Yes, that's correct. So this is the witness, the key witness of the prosecution. And they've had a lot of other problems too. The prosecution sat on what was unknown at the time, video that had been taken by an aircraft that was flying above during the outbreak of all this by the FBI. And the defense finally got a hold of it. The prosecution argued it shouldn't be made public. The judge rightly ruled, well, why wouldn't it be public? And he made it public. And when you look at that video, you can see how all of this is unraveling. And you can see that Rittenhouse is running. He's running for cover. And how others were chasing him down and trying to harm him because he had a rifle. And so one person was trying to pull the rifle out of his hands. That's one of the people he shot. Because Rittenhouse, as young as he was and as young as he is, he understood at that point it was shoot or be shot. And that's self-defense. Now, I don't know what this jury's going to do. I don't know any of it. But so far, the judge has had very reasonable rulings, right down the middle, which is what a judge is supposed to do. And where possible, a judge is not supposed to censor or conceal evidence from the public. And by the way, as a side note, this is why so many of the cases involving spies that we catch, spies that have done grave harm to us, don't wind up in the electric chair. Why? Even though they are in fact eligible for the death penalty, the federal death penalty, because the government has decided they don't want so much information released in an open trial. Some can be hidden, but most of it can't, because first and foremost is the right of the individual whose liberty or life is on the line in the courtroom. And that's the way the framers set it up, and I think they set it up properly. So this is where we stand as of now in the Rittenhouse case. And I believe the defense has mentioned or raised with the judge a directed verdict. Now, what's a directed verdict? That means in the case of the defense, what they're saying here, even if you take the prosecution's case in the best light, they can't win. They can't win. And I have to say, based on what I've been reading and following in this case, it is a brutal rejection of what the prosecution has tried here. All of the death codes that they've tried to bring in here, murder codes and provisions, they're just not applicable. But this is what happens when you have a mob that demands mob justice.
Want to see more Mark Levin? Go to LevinTV.com and subscribe now.